I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a big hour coming up, so make sure if you're walking around the house, no, sit down. You need to watch. You need to listen right now. We're going to begin in Delphi, Indiana. Abby Williams, Libby German, two young girls who lost their lives back in 2017. They were murdered. It was brutal, an absolutely brutal murder scene. It was a mystery for 5 years, unsolved. Then Richard Allen was arrested for the murder. The defense claims he's 1,000% innocent, and they are actually pointing the finger at some local Odinists, people who practice Odinism, which is an ancient Nordic religion, the god Odin. It's also a religion, according to the defense, that's been hijacked by white nationalists in this country, especially in the prison population. So that's their defense. He's going to be in court tomorrow. Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who is joining us live tonight from Fort Wayne, Indiana, where all this is happening. Matt, great to see you. And a big headline here for folks here at Court TV, but for folks who want to hear and see more about this case, cameras will be inside that courtroom in Indiana, something I've never said in 2 decades at Court TV.
Right, and Vinny, nice to see you as well. And it's our team that is here on the ground, our producers and our camera people that'll be inside this Allen County Courthouse here behind me, and they're going to be bringing that to us as it unfolds tomorrow. This first time that we're getting a glimpse inside this courthouse, and also during this case, ever since Allen was arrested for the murders of Abby and Libby almost a year ago to the date. Remember, after he was arrested, we had learned that he made his first court appearance, no cameras there, and every court appearance since, no cameras. We have just been able to see him walk in and out of the courthouse. He has that Kevlar vest. He is ankle shackled. He has those handcuffs and, you know, looking very thin and very different from that first arrest. But we are now going to be able to see him in this courthouse and how he acts. Now, another big difference in all of this, Vinny, we are here in Allen County because this is where Judge Fran Gull presides normally. She usually travels to Carroll County in the Delphi area, but she's requiring all parties to be here tomorrow in her courtroom.
Okay, let's talk about what's on the docket and the agenda tomorrow. Let's begin with the leaked evidence photos. We were talking about that on this show last night. It's a big issue. A lot of people unhappy. What do we expect to hear?
Well, you know, they're very sensitive and they're very graphic photos, what we're being told that were leaked to the public and what ultimately led to an investigation possibly by Indiana State Police. We tried to independently confirm that, but again, everyone is under a gag order still to this date, unable to talk about any of the specifics in the case. But it could come up here with Judge Gull tomorrow during this hearing. Because remember, this was an unscheduled hearing happening here in this case in Indiana, but after those so-called leak photos made the news, that's when she called for this hearing ahead of what we already knew was scheduled and on the docket, that October 31st, that Halloween hearing, which we are expecting to be something in the nature of that Franks hearing, where the defense has filed many motions that we talked about, saying that the search warrant for his home, Richard Allen's home, was not constitutional because they say that the law enforcement lied to get the judge to sign off on it, Vinny.
So, sort of an emergency type hearing that wasn't on the schedule. They had one scheduled for the end of the month. The leaked photos. Now, these leaked photos, my understanding is that they've been leaked to some podcasters. We had 2 of them on last night who said, yeah, we got these unsolicited. We deleted them. We went to law enforcement about all of it. So my guess is there is some investigation and all that will come up. But the Franks hearing is what everyone's been talking about, what the defense filed in all their motion papers, making all these allegations about this Nordic religion, a ritualistic crime scene, pressure placed on the defendant by prison guards who also practiced this ancient Nordic religion and threatened him, or potentially threatened him, to confess to the killings to his wife on the phone from the prison. Wild allegations, but that is or is not necessarily on the docket for tomorrow.
We don't know. We expect something of the nature to be argued tomorrow. We don't actually know how long this hearing is going to go, but there's been so many back and forth and public fighting in these court memorandums that have been made public, because remember, everyone's under a gag order. They can't hold news conferences or speak to the press about this, even the defense attorneys. So all of these wild allegations have been made in these court filings, and that could be something addressed by the judge here tomorrow. And the podcasters that you were talking about, yes, that's the Murder Sheet podcast. They have made allegations that they received those photos of the crime scene. And they say, according to them, that it was somehow connected to an employee of the defense team, a former employee, Vinny.
Now, what condition can we expect Richard Allen to be in? This has been a big issue. He's been trying to get moved out of that prison forever. Part of the allegations are, again, that these prison guards who were wearing patches that could be associated with the ancient Nordic religion, this paganistic heathenry, Odinism, whatever it is. I'm not familiar with it. People can practice whatever religion they want. But if there's some connection between the murder and the corrections officers and the pressure, and that somehow he's being treated poorly by these guards, they deny it all. But what is he looking like, and what can we expect him to look like in court tomorrow?
Well, in transport, he hasn't looked very well, right? And all of those pictures that were released by the defense team back in April, after they were making claims that he was being treated like a prisoner of war, having to sleep on a mat, he was being abused, he was unable to sleep. He was unable to talk to his attorneys or his wife without being recorded or observed or closely watched by these prison guards. Those are all the accusations by the defense team. So they have really been pushing hard to get him transferred out of the facility where he is right now. And keep in mind, this is such a high-profile case that, according to the state, he's being kept in safekeeping at a prison instead of a jail, where everyone else there has already been convicted of the crime. So yes, you bring up the allegations of the cult members watching over him, and then those signed affidavits where they've said that they are no longer allowed to wear the patches, but they admitted to wearing the patches. So it'll be interesting to see if any of this is brought up tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And
who's going to be there tomorrow?
Well, we know all the parties are required to be here, and Allen himself, they have required him to be transported here to Allen County. And then also we know the court setup, there is going to be at least 2 rows set up for the victim's family. Libby and Abby's family are going to be there. We're not going to be able to show you in the gallery, and of course we want to give them their privacy. Everybody here is going to be under strict gag orders still, so they're not going to be able to address the media or the public afterwards. But we expect it to be a packed house. I mean, this is one of those cases that has really impacted people from coast to coast, especially here in Indiana. You know, Barbara McDonald and I, my producer, and I were in Delphi just a couple hours ago today. Everybody is still talking about the case, and it's quite interesting. 1 year after an arrest in this case, Vinny, there are still wanted posters of the 2 suspect sketches on every single storefront window in that small town, a town of 3,000 people in that town square. It's just something else. And people are still visiting that bridge, that Monon High Bridge, where this all happened. And it looks like they're paying their respects, because we see flowers there.
Absolutely. Let's talk about, so we're going to have cameras in the courtroom tomorrow. There's a trial scheduled January 8th, 2024, right after the new year. Will there be cameras in the courtroom moving forward?
So that's one of the things that we're going to watch for with tomorrow. So this is our first opportunity to have cameras in this courtroom and in this courthouse. So, of course, you know, we're going to be looking at that, and we're going to be looking at scheduling, right? What will be discussed tomorrow? Does that lead to that Frank's hearing on the 31st on Halloween, which again is kind of poetic because that's the last time we were in Indiana when they announced his arrest in the first place? And then does that lead to the trial still happening in January, or does something happen with the defense team? Are there changes? This is something that we're going to be bringing you as we learn it tomorrow.
Matt Johnson in Indiana tonight. Matt, great to see you. Big day tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Of course.
All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us live here in the studio tonight, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former assistant DA, Fulton County, Georgia, Darrell Cohen. Also with us tonight, criminal defense attorney, Emory University law professor, and Georgia Innocence Project board member, Molly Palmer. And finally, criminal defense attorney, Meg Strickler. Welcome. Great to see everyone tonight. Let's talk about the leaked evidence photos, okay? There's two aspects to this, okay? I don't think the judge is happy because everything was under seal. Allegations that it came from the defense side. So, can anything happen to the defense team? Can they were appointed to this case. Can they be bounced from the case for something like this? Because I'm hearing that that's a potential sanction in all this.
Well, let's be clear. It came from supposedly a former member or employee of the attorneys on the defense team. So it could be somebody who has had no involvement in the case for many months now and presumably signed some sort of confidentiality agreement, as most of us have our employees sign, and violated
What
it.
if, though? What if? What if it's linked directly to counsel? Can counsel be bounced off the case for something like this?
No. Counsel could be fined. Counsel could be found in contempt, but I think we're looking.
What does that mean in contempt? What happens? They put him in jail?
You can find him in jail, you can fine him, you can say, do it again, you're in trouble, buddy. But I also think that in this case, we're looking at a former disgruntled employee who didn't want to get mad. He or she got even.
Get even with whom?
Showing, don't you dare fire me because I am so important.
The judge is not going to get rid of this lawyer and say out, because that would just foul up everything. That is a rare occasion.
So let's go to the second part. Let's say that it was purposely leaked by the defense. Like the defense wanted the world to see this. What does that tell us about the case? Now, leaks, violation of the gag order, et cetera, but I mean, it's going to be evidence in the case. It's difficult for the family if this stuff gets sprayed on the internet. I haven't seen it yet sprayed on the internet. But if it does end up there, that's, you know, not great for the victim's family. But in terms of the trial, if the defense is leaking this, what does that tell us?
Well, first of all, I don't think the defense is purposely leaking it.
But I'm saying,
However,
what if?
I hear you.
I said, what if?
So what's interesting about it, right, is that we know from these really great lengthy filings from defense counsel
that they wanted in front of the world.
That their theory is that it is the crime scene and these ritualistic symbols that surrounded the bodies that is forming the basis of their theory of the case. And so if these photos are in fact detailing Odinistic, ritualistic symbols, maybe that is something that they would want society to see.
Let me move over just a little bit. We have a town of 3,000 people. If all of those people who are potential jurors are tainted, what happens? Move it to a different venue. That, I think, may be part of their strategy, if in fact they did it, because we don't know. But we do know it was leaked. By whom, at this point, we're not sure. And for what reasons, we have to speculate.
So looking at what the defense has done here with the filing of these motions, very detailed, I mean, extremely detailed. Are they evening the playing field in the build-up to the trial? Because now people are talking about these Odinists, and what about them? Like, what was going on here? They even cited investigators who believed that Odinists were involved here.
They're doing their job. So let's be real clear here. They're filing these motions because they're doing their job.
They don't have to be that detailed.
Yes, they can. They can be. It depends on that judge. If the judge wants all this litigated prior to the hearing, we have to put all of that information in the motion in our attached brief. So let's be crystal clear on here, because I kind of feel like you're implying this defense is trying to influence the media, influence the public. I don't think that's
I don't believe in gag orders. I believe everything. I mean, I've covered stories in states like Florida where everything is there. Everything is out there, and we still have trials. We don't have to worry about violation of gag orders because there aren't any.
I think this judge is going to learn over and over again how to say overruled, overruled, not in the favor of the defense. I think all of those motions are going to be
Well, a Franks hearing is hard to win. I can tell you that from experience.
Well, I always look ahead to the trial, right? The Franks hearing, though, if they win it, it would be huge because then the prosecution loses a lot of evidence.
They're not.
They won't win it. I mean, they.
How difficult is this? Is it to sell to a jury that two, and we saw what they looked like, Abby and Libby, two wonderful young girls, they're both white, are murdered by white nationalists in a ritualistic killing, and then in the prison guards want to protect the Odinists who committed this murder because they are Odinists also, and they coerced a confession out of Richard Allen. Is that a tough sell? That's a big conspiracy, right?
That's not a tough sell, in my view. It's an impossible sell.
Okay.
Because you start with two horribly sad victims. You've got two kids who were murdered, so the jury immediately has empathy for the victims, not the defendant. And if they're saying Odinist or not, Odinist, Schmodinist, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. If they think that Richard Allen is the murderer, it's not going to matter what they believe the guards did or did not do.
Wait, I'm watching you, but all I see is Molly's head shaking.
Vinny, you yourself have to admit, when Court TV first covered this supposed confession from Richard Allen,
right,
you said, why would anyone do this? Why would anybody on the phone in this prison say, I did this? And lo and behold, we have a plausible, inherently consistent explanation that these guards in this prison told him to confess over the phone, and that these guards are part of this Odinistic cult. And then when these affidavits make their way through the litigation, we see that guards have admitted that they are part of a Nordic pagan religion of some kind.
Heathenry.
Okay, heathenry, sure. Maybe not quite Odinism, but close enough. Is this just a coincidence, or is this actually a pathway to reasonable doubt?
And by the way, I spent the night on the moon last night, too.
How many Odinists do you know?
Right.
I mean, to me, this is
does
plausible.
bother me that there's Odinists watching him,
yes,
and potentially
influencing him, coercing him. Yes, it is plausible.
That's true, and all we have to do is get some reason that one juror.
To explain his confession and why he confessed, because the jury will hear it because it's recorded.
Yes.
He's got to take the witness stand.
That's absolutely
Doesn't he?
correct.
No, not necessarily.
No, if he doesn't
not
take the
necessarily.
witness stand, then they throw out the confession as exactly what we believe it is. If he doesn't take the witness stand, if he does, he said, I was coerced, I was forced, but then he opens himself up to all sorts of cross-examination.
How do you get a jury to question a confession without the basis
all
for
the
it?
other surrounding evidence, and then in closing you
But it's not direct
explain.
evidence. Like him saying, this is why I said it. That's
not putting
evidence.
him on that stand.
Saying that somebody's wearing a patch is not evidence as to why he confessed.
Well, the good thing is he's not bright, and
Okay.
people that are not bright do stupid things, and I think
We shall
that's fun.
see.